Okay, third and final video this evening. Um, I'm going to talk about the future state of Avoid Court. Now, that's kind of a funny thing to refer to in the fact that we're just releasing it today, announcing and releasing it today. Um, but you have to have a vision, okay? And as I've referred or said earlier, stated earlier in the first and second video, we have a patent, and the patent is just being filed now. And the you will see a lot of functionality, and we're not going to call it version 2 or version 3. It's just iterative process throughout the remainder of 2022. So you'll see it in July, which is the third quarter. And what I want to talk about is core basic functionality by the end of the fourth quarter, or as we roll into 2023. We're well on our way, folks, more than halfway, and a lot's going to happen in the world. This has been an interesting first 2 years of a decade, or 3 years, depending on how you count it. The beginning of 2020 to 2021, 21, 28, 28. We'll have 3 years done by the end of this year. It's been, some predict, there's a great book, by the way. I like to endorse books. I read a lot of books. The future is faster than you think. I like Audible books. But one of the basic premises of that book is I've been alive next year 6 decades, 59. And the author of the book must be in proximity of my age. And he says more is going to change in this decade in society than has changed in the 5 previous decades combined. Folks, AI is going to be the driver of that. Now, I surely don't want to be political in a avoidcourt.com video, but imagine not as much the vaccines and COVID, because there's a lot of controversy and opinions on that. But we did bring those vaccines to market quickly. More importantly, the treatment protocols save lives. And you're talking about worldwide and the various variants. AI is the reason. When doctors were taking notes of their services and how people are responding to various treatments, I'm not a doctor, but the amount and how it's administered and how patients react to their pre-existing medical conditions, all that is shared by supercomputers and AI. Legal industry, it's coming. At Cognitive, and later this year, Cognitive is going to have a nonprofit, 501(c) academic think tank. I'm going to put a little plug in this video. Law firms, large law firms. I won't mention any by name, but we have some that are on TV very regularly. Contact me. Make a contribution to my 501(c), or I should say ours. And we're going to create an academic think tank. And the think tank is going to be primarily focused in promoting Florida, which is where I've lived for 32 years. And unless something unforeseen happens, that's where I want to end my life, or my life will have ended. I love Florida. We have a great governor, and we've a great environment for business. So the 501(c) is going to be an academic think tank to promote the ethical. Attorneys are really big on ethics, as you should be. Some reason people don't trust computers, but they trust people, but yet attorneys get brought up on ethical charges all the time. The only way a computer can be unethical is if the person programming it is unethical. It's pretty pure. One of my competitors, and I love him to death, I think he sometimes doesn't think I love him, Colin Rule, one of the thought leaders, probably one of the 2 or 3 people who coined the term ODR. He wrote an article, my memory is not always perfect, but it was in, I think, American Trial Lawyer magazine. I think that article was titled or referred to something as Silicon Judges. This was 5 years ago, 6 years ago. And he predicted that judges have bias. How do you dress? How do you look? Ethnic, sex, what sex you are, cultural, type of case, what you've been charged with, what you're filing a lawsuit about. Okay? Technology and code isn't there's no bias. Sorry, folks. This is more puristic in approach and more ethical than what humans can be. Now, TDR, again, promotes the human element. We're never going humanless. Technology enhanced dispute resolution. We use something else, and again, I have to be very vague. Emotional intelligence. My personal area of expertise is emotional intelligence. Most of people out there that may see this video has taken the Myers-Briggs personality test, and we take some pride and go, yeah, we answer 50 to 100 questions, different personality tests, different numbers of questions, and it determines our personalities. Well, there's emotional intelligence. And by the way, it's not known as EI, it's known as EQ. Okay, and that's my area of expertise from a psychology point of view. Okay, again, I said in previous videos, about 80-90% of conflict comes from emotion. And the technology and AI can help diffuse that. Again, I won't tell the hows of, sorry, I got a little bug in the studio this evening. Must be attracted to the light. Hope it's not a bee. Sounds a little buzzy. But the AI and questions and assessments for emotional intelligence can help the parties diffuse the emotions and phrase questions and settlement options based on your emotional makeup. It's real. It's not science fiction. Okay, now some of my team might get mad that I said that because it starts to infer how we do it. Well, there's a lot more to it than that, folks, than my competitors. This will be in the patent. Okay. The goal is collaboration. I'll give you an example from divorce. Yes, we have to hire an attorney. But the biggest problem in divorce, if there's children involved, is the emotional impact of the children. I've had that in my own life. And unfortunately, the majority of the population in Florida, it said, one of the past Florida bar presidents said, 60 to 70% of the population of Florida cannot afford an attorney. Guess what they can't afford also? Mental health care for their children. In Florida, when I got a divorce, and I think it's still that way today, you go to a short 3-4 hour responsible parenting class. It's almost like traffic school. That's it. And these kids go through a lot of trauma. Well, why can't we blend a service in dispute resolution spectrum that gives access so the divorcing couples could fill out a questionnaire, feed it to family counselors. Family counselors could run it through a computer system, get an understanding of, is there violence in the house? What are the key issues? What might be affecting the children? And then provide counseling online via Zoom in an inexpensive fashion, or at least videos and book recommendations and maybe free resources in the community to help these people. I'm using divorce as an example. That's true in any kind of conflict. This emotional side, and I'm not going to mention any names, but I have people in my family. Sometimes in divorce, you just want to win. Sometimes the win is I get to keep the house, or I get to keep the children more. Whatever it is, he cheated on me, I got to win, or vice versa, or something. Okay, the emotions come out. So we fill out these financial affidavits. The courts can't give financial advice. They allow the attorneys to try to work through it. Attorneys don't give financial advice. So it's always baffled me why, when you about ready to get your divorce settled, and this could be true for any kind of settlement that involves finances, why can't you route the settlement agreement before it's finalized to a certified financial planner. And he or she might go, you want to keep the house? Your income barely makes the house payment, and you're not going to afford it long term, even though you might think keeping it is the way to do it. Okay? These are professionals. So the technology can blend other professionals together, interconnected around the case and the repository of the data. And privacy and security are very key in this, in the design of that. I'd like to plug for a minute here Microsoft. We've chose Microsoft as our partner for the underlying cloud infrastructure and their cloud and their AI capability. Their cloud is Azure. Our technology can work on other clouds, but our future development activity, and we take pride in being named, and we are an authorized Microsoft partner. And so we pay very close attention to what Microsoft is doing in the cloud. They're a major player. So is Amazon, AWS. So is Google. And there's many other cloud providers. Okay? We happen to use Microsoft. So to kind of tie it all together, in future iterations, and I'm talking about before the end of this year and beyond, you're going to see almost weekly, or at least monthly, major new enhancements to avoidcourt.com, because we see it to be positioned as the future. I called it earlier small claims court in the sky. Well, then people think of small claims as only things you'd make. But divorce isn't small claims. Stealing someone's intellectual property isn't small claims necessarily, depending on the dollar amount of the damages. Other disputes like debt, foreclosure, eviction, HR disputes wouldn't be considered small claims in a traditional sense, but the dollar amount puts them in that threshold. And if we can take these matters that attorneys every day are turning down, when they don't see a large enough dollar opportunity, or you can afford their retainer, and this is in no way negative towards the legal industry. Like any industry, affordability of delivery of service and the model of delivery of service is a criteria. So the technology is the equalizer of this decade. AI is the ethical and the conduit of extension. Again, my children today, happy birthday Allison, my youngest daughter. Last Friday was my oldest daughter's birthday on the June 24th. That's when we originally incorporated this thing 9 years ago. I like to keep my kids into the thing. But my kids like to text. They don't like to call you. I'm a bad parent or not. I think this is generally rule. They've been buying stuff on the internet since they were little. They text at the dinner table. They text within the same house. So this technology, don't think about it for us people that, I don't want to pick an age. I like to think my attitude is very young. But as a technologist, I think there's a lot of people are 25 to 32. They look at me as a grandpa. But I have a very young attitude about technology. And I love staying in touch with the youth and the patterns of their behavior with technology. I'm fascinated by it. And that's incorporated in Avoid Court. It's not a one-size-fits-all. And I'm not being disrespectful. Society for at least the next decade will still have the same divide it's had probably the last 5 decades. Economics. If you have the money, you're going to hire an attorney no matter what I design, what we provide or our competitors provide. But can this open up disputes for simple solutions? It could be a conflict between 2 roommates over the division of some expenses. And the attorneys wouldn't do that. But if there's a great place for people to go and resolve disputes, why not? Okay? But we can go all the way up to millions of dollars. So far, I've talked about it being an alternative to court. But we have other products. And if avoidcourt.com isn't your landing spot, try ZipSettle. Try our family settle. Try HR settle. Try our home settle, where we deal with evictions and foreclosures, general real estate, and HOA conflicts, homeowners associations. Folks, we design dispute resolution systems, and we are in the business of designing them for people, not to bring individual products to market. Home Depot, you want a dispute resolution system around your credit card, where your credit card is used to buy cabinets and countertops and that, but subcontractors are using, disputes are done, and then payments are withheld and there's a dispute. We'd be glad to design a system for you. One of our targets is AARP. My competitors just gave you somebody to compete with. I use that just as an example. Is there are any company has disputes, and anybody that has massive members like the 60 million that AARP has, those are retired people, American Association of Retired People. Those people have disputes, and we want to be a service to those people regardless of what state they live in. eBay, when I said earlier, resolving 60 million disputes. Today, the court system is meant or built only to determine jurisdiction. Okay? But in e-commerce, we cross state lines, we start country lines. So the jurisdictional laws and the court provisional considerations do not apply. Avoid court can. Okay? You still have a right to litigation. I'm getting tired, and we're going to wrap this up this evening. But what I said earlier about you could be in any stage of litigation, and you just might be, maybe you're not happy with your attorney, maybe you're not happy with the speed, and you pick up the phone and call the other person. Again, attorneys probably wouldn't advise that. They don't like the two parties in dispute to be communicating, but there's no law that keep you from communicating. I said, while we wait our place in this court process, since avoidcourt.com or zipsettle.com or any of our other products and any of our competitors' other products are less expensive, why don't we try it? Again, I don't expect your attorney to advise it. If you call him or her for advice about whether you should, I wouldn't expect them to be overly favorable. But as this gets accepted, just like doctors had to accept minute clinics, they had to accept telemedicine, the attorneys are going to have to accept that. We're not going to be able to stop it with the threat of unauthorized practice of law. Remember Lucy in the Charlie Brown commercials, or Charlie Brown series, those little specials. She had a booth, psychiatric, I don't remember what it was, psychiatric advice, 5 cents. Lucy can't deliver psychiatric advice legally. She's not a licensed psychologist. She's not, doesn't have the degree. That it's kind of cute, but professional standards. You can't practice medicine. I can't. If I'm not a doctor, I can go. I cure for cancer. Here's how much I charge. And the legal industry has stopped the ADR industry in their tracks through the threat of UPL. Okay. Do I expect the possibility that we might have some UPL challenges? Absolutely. Well, we're ready for it because we're not going to violate UPL. We're not even mediating or arbitrating. We're providing electronic negotiation systems, activities and functions enhanced by technology, assisted by human element. And our blend of human element does include attorneys. So be glad to stand up to the challenges of UPL, because we're not, just like TurboTax or H&R Block, going to violate providing legal advice. We're going to encourage them, if they're in the process of dispute resolution and we identify that they do not have the expertise to understand the legal standing of their argument, we'll stop and suggest they get some advice. Okay? Conclusion. I call it, and this weekend, there's going to be a second interview with my mentor, Dr. Becker. we don't call it, I should have called it interview, a conversation. On the TDR TV station, there is an interview. I think it's about a year old now. And I'm so looking forward to this interview because this interview is going to pick up from where we left off to where we're going. And Dr. Becker's been in this. Dr. Becker created the first community mediation center, and I hope you all appreciate his insight. And he was a lawyer, meaning he went to law school. His father went to law school, and if my memory's correct, his grandfather went to law school. It's sort of three-generation family lawyers. But folks, the legal industry has to change. We tried in 2012 to build the field of dreams for you to change, and you didn't come. COVID forced you to look at technology like Zoom. Zoom is video conferencing. It's not a legal system. Okay. AvoidCore.com and our products leverage TDR, and it does include functionality. Video conferencing is just how we talk. The rest of it complements the process. It's a complete system. People, I don't like Zoom mediations. Zoom isn't a mediation. Zoom is video conferencing. When you go to do private caucuses in mediation, how do you do make a person leave the room, or how do you get them back, log off, log on? Try our software. We're full service, full cycle. So we're excited about AvoidCore.com. We're excited about our other products. We're excited to be called Cognitive Resolution Solutions, and we want to serve you, and we want to build dispute resolution systems. One final plug for the nonprofit. We want solutions through academic and commercial collaboration. Academics, not just law school. How about there's 120 universities that give PhDs and master's certificates in this country in conflict resolution and peace studies. How about MBA students? How about IT students? Okay, if we all collaborate to build a solution, we can make Florida one of the leads. California is supposedly Silicon Valley. Everything comes out. The last 2 decades, Austin, Texas has kind of been the second thing. As a result of COVID, we're seeing a lot of people move to Miami. Our headquarters for AvoidCore.com is going to be in Miami. 95% of my team are in Dade County. So we're excited. We're excited for Florida. We serve the nation. We can serve countries. We're looking for foreign partnerships where we'll license our technology, form subsidiaries where we provide the technology, the expertise, the guidance, and services, and they can go out and get the clients. I'd love to have a Latin American partner. I'd love to have a German and European country partners. I'd like to have an Eastern European. Unfortunately, with Ukraine and Russia right now, it's probably not likely. I'm open to an Asian partnership. Call us. We'd love to do that. But right now, we're focused on our home state and the United States. And we look forward in the coming years that many of our competitors will continue. Somebody said a couple years ago, your competitor websites look a lot like yours, or looks like TDR. That was our intent. We're not going to sue them. We got a patent now, and you want to license the patent? Call me. Sign an NDA. I'd be glad to license the patent to you. Okay? Let's serve clients. There's disputes, and we can't do it all, and we're not. At the end of the day, we're a dispute resolution system designer. Okay? So thank you. Excited. I'm calling at night. I think we're about 9:30 p.m. and this is going off. And I was up at 5 on launch day. So thank you, folks, for the consideration, and good luck.